going to stand in the place in which God has given him leadership and ownership. And so I thank God for you, babe, and thank you for trusting me up here. Again, let's give it up for Pastor. I want to thank all of our first-time guests that are here this morning. I have some special ladies that are here with me. My line sisters, if you would just wave your hand. And all of our first-time visitors, thank you so much for being here. We do believe that there are many places you could have gone, and so we are grateful that you took time out of your day to worship with us this morning. Amen. Amen. We are going to jump right into the Word. Are y'all ready for the Word this morning? Hallelujah. All right, our scripture. Yes, Elizabeth is ready for the Word as well. Hallelujah. Amen. Our scripture reference this morning is Proverbs 31, verse 25. All right. If you have your Bibles or your phones, you can go there. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 25. And I'll be reading from the New Living Translation. And the scripture reads, "She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future." I'm going to read that one more time. "She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future." There are other translations, the New King James, the NASB, the translation for dignity is honor. So she is clothed with strength and honor, strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of her future. And I want to speak from the thought today, the strength of a woman. All right. The strength of a woman. The strength of a woman. And so, how many of you are familiar with the series Rocky the movie? If you've ever seen that movie, it's a pretty old movie. And if you're not caught up with Rocky, you may recognize Creed or Creed 2. Okay, Apollo, yes, all that. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to start off with just kind of taking us back several years to Rocky 4. And if you're not familiar with the Rocky series, I encourage you to go back, and if you don't watch all of them, at least watch this particular movie. In Rocky 4, you have Apollo Creed, who is in the boxing ring with who they call Drago, who was the Russian boxer at the time. And so Apollo Creed had come out of retirement, and Rocky is now his trainer. And so they're in the boxing ring, and everybody is screaming, and Apollo Creed is all pumped up, and he's ready to fight. He's pumped up, and he's ready to fight, and he lets Rocky know, look, we're going to win this, we're going to be in this fight, and I don't want you to throw in this towel, I don't want you to make any calls, because I'm going to fight to the end. And if y'all can see, I have my little boxing gloves up here, because I did a little kickboxing in my day, you know. Really, I did. Those are mine. Okay, those are really mine. Okay, so I got my boxing gloves up here because I need y'all to visualize what's happening. So Apollo Creed is in the boxing ring, and so the first round happens, the second round happens, and they're fighting, and they're going back and forth, and Rocky begins to recognize that Apollo Creed is getting beat up by Drago. And so he goes to Apollo Creed, and he's like, look, I think I need to call him. And Apollo Creed goes to him, and he says, look, don't call the fight no matter what. I'm going to fight to the end. And he looks at him dead in his eye, and he says, no matter what, don't call the fight. So if Rocky calls the fight, that means he's basically throwing in the towel. He's throwing in the towel, and he's saying, we're going to take the gloves off because we are going to surrender to you. But Apollo Creed says, no, I'm going to fight to the end. And so Apollo Creed continues to fight, and Rocky is looking at him, and he's getting ready to throw in the towel. He's getting ready to make the call, and Apollo Creed looks at him, and then in this very snap moment, Drago issues one deadly punch. And Apollo Creed falls to the ground, and in that moment, he dies from that one final punch. And I truly believe that had he allowed Rocky to call the game, and if he had allowed himself to take a moment to step back and give in, he would have lived beyond that moment. And it's important for us this morning to recognize it's okay to take the gloves off. All right. It's okay to take the gloves off. I wonder how many situations, I wonder how many we have continued to fight in a battle that God wanted to step in and call. Or maybe God did step in and call and you ignored him and you continue to fight within your own strength, within your own ability, and that situation died and did not bear any fruit. Oftentimes as women, we feel like we have to keep the boxing gloves on, we have to keep fighting, we have to keep struggling, we have to keep doing this, that, or the other, because if not, we'll be looked at as weak. And so I want to take this time this morning to define what the true strength of a woman is, because too many of us are walking around bound by the perspective of other people, and we're continuing to get into battles that are causing us or giving us situations that are continuing to die that God wants to live. Amen? So when we look at the word strength in this particular text, the Hebrew word for strength is ooze. That's the Hebrew word for strength. The Hebrew word for strength is ooze. And in the NASB, Greek and Hebrew Bible, it says that strength is synonymous with the word force or power. It's synonymous with the word force or power. I like to say a woman who has strength is a force to be reckoned with. When she walks into the room, the atmosphere begins to shift. People recognize her. People notice her. People begin to think and question, what is it? Who is this? Who is this particular woman? I like to say that she has power in her voice. That might mean something to my sisters this morning. That she has power in her voice. She is, of course, I like to also say she's kind of like a boss. So when she walks into a room, everyone recognizes. Theologian John MacArthur says, strength and honor, these words describe the character of the woman who fears the Lord. Her inward clothing displays divine wisdom, giving her confidence to face the future with unexpected challenges. So she has confidence to face the future. She's excited and she doesn't face the future with fear because she has confidence because she knows who she serves. She recognizes that her life is not her own, but her life belongs to God. And in that, we recognize that if you have breath in your body, you will experience some unexpected challenges. You will go through some things, but that doesn't mean that God is not for you, that God is against you, that he is right there walking with you, but you have to make sure that you are trusting him, even if he says, throw in the towel in that moment. Matthew Henry says, when you talk about strength and honor in this particular passage, in Proverbs 31:25, it says, she has the spirit to bear up under many crosses and disappointments.
Okay, all right now.
She has the spirit to bear up under many crosses and disappointments. What does that mean? That when she faces challenges, when she faces obstacles, she has the spirit to bear that cross. How many of you recognize that we all have a cross to bear?
All right.
You don't have to be a mother. You don't have to be a father. If you are living and you have breath in your body, we all have a cross that we must bear. And so when there is strength in you, you have the spirit to bear up under those things, meaning that whatever cross God gives you, you're able to bear it and not throw it back. You're able to bear it and not give up or not give in. It reminds me of the Apostle Paul in the book of 2 Corinthians, when Paul asked God 3 times to remove the thorn from his side. He begged God. He said, look, God, this thorn is bothering me. This issue is going on. Please, God, remove it, remove it, remove it. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been in a situation where you're bearing up under your cross and you're begging God, please, God, remove this thing from me. I'm not going to make it. I can't take it. But God responds and says, like he says to Paul, my grace is sufficient. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly, I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. I have learned throughout my almost 41 years of life, that there are certain things that God will allow you to go through in order for you to depend on his strength and not your own. I have learned throughout my 41 years that sometimes you have to bear the cross a little bit longer than you really wanted to. A little bit longer, you have to press your way because God is trying to teach you something, or God is trying to develop something in you. And I've learned that God will sometimes allow a thorn to remain in order to teach us at the end of human strength is the beginning supernatural.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
The thorn remains because God wants to teach us at the end of human strength is the beginning of the supernatural. And the supernatural can't take place in our lives if we do not humble ourselves and acknowledge that there are just some things we cannot do on our own. There are some things that we just don't have the power to fix. And God is just waiting on us to come to Him with open arms, laying it at His feet and acknowledging that He is the great I am.
Amen.
See, we have to make sure that we are keeping ourselves in a position in which we are not trying to be the Holy Spirit of every situation that we find ourselves in, but that we're trusting God to be in control, that He is sovereign, and that He will work it out for our good. So I want to take a moment this morning to redefine strength. And the first thing that I want to do in redefining strength is remind us again that we have to walk in God's strength and His power. So as we redefine strength, the first thing that we must admit is that we must know that we can admit when we are weak. Strength is being able to admit when we are weak. And just like Paul with that thorn, I'm sure he was weak in that moment. He didn't know what to do, but he really was trusting God and wanting God to take that away. And God said, no, my grace is sufficient for you. See, when you bear a cross or when you go through something and you have something that you're dealing with that won't go away, God is wanting to know what is going to be your attitude as you carry that cross. As you're bearing that cross, as you're going through those situations. I've shared this illustration before, and I'll share it again this morning because I think it's so powerful and so impactful. There's an illustration of several individuals who are all carrying a cross on their back. And as they're carrying these crosses, some people have little crosses, some people have big crosses, some people have medium-sized crosses. See, that's the thing. The reason I mentioned the size, because you can't decide what size your cross is going to be. See, the size of the cross that you carry is dependent upon where God is taking you, what lies ahead, and you got to be willing to bear whatever cross it is that God gives to you. So these individuals, they're on their journey and they're carrying their cross, and some of them are getting weary, some of them are getting tired, and they're moving and they're going and they're pressing forward. But as they press forward, they come to this gap in the middle of the road, and everybody's looking around and looking from side to side, and the people who gave up and threw their cross down, they're standing there without nothing. But those individuals who kept pressing forward, who kept moving forward, they were able to take the cross off their back and lay it down over that gap, and they were able to walk over that gap onto the other side. And that just simply means for us, whatever cross God has given you, that cross has purpose. And you don't know what that cross means until God reveals it to you. But until He reveals it to you, keep pressing. Keep walking. Keep moving. Because there's a cross for you to bear, and if you continue to bear, you will see victory on the other side. See, we must admit when we are weak. When you admit that you are weak, you relinquish the right to take credit and allow Christ's power to work through you. All right. You relinquish the right to take credit and allow Christ's power to work through you. That's what it means to admit that you're weak. Not only is strength admitting when you're weak, but strength is recognizing when it's time to ask others for help. We have to be able to get to a place of humility and ask people for help when we need it. There's a story of a little boy who was trying to lift a heavy stone, but he couldn't lift it, he couldn't budge it. His father walked into the room, and his father was passing by, and his father said to him, "Son, are you using all of your strength?" And the little boy kept trying to pick up this heavy stone. He kept trying, and he said, "Yes, I am. I'm using all of the strength that I have." And his father looked at him calmly, and he said, "No, you're not. You have not asked me for help." See, the child needed to learn to depend upon his father because his father was an added source of strength. And just like this little boy, we need to be able to ask for help when we find ourselves in situations of things that are too heavy for us to bear. The Bible tells us that we are to carry our own load, but we're to help each other bear one another's burdens. And the problem with many of us, God has given us a load and we want to give that load back. We want to say, "God, this is too much," but everything you need to bear the load that God has given you. God has already instilled in you to be able to carry that load. And so you have to be willing and humble enough to ask for help when you need it. Many of us, when we, as we're taught, well, you don't need help, you don't ask for help, you do it on your own. You be an independent woman. And there's nothing wrong with independence. There's nothing wrong with building up things for yourself. But when it gets to the point where you are suffering for no reason because you will not take the time to reach out or ask someone who God has already prepared to be able to be a blessing for you, but you're missing out on that blessing because you don't want to reach out and ask for help. I remember when I checked into the hospital to be induced because little Elizabeth didn't want to come out on her own, so I had to be induced. And I remember when I checked into the hospital and they started giving me the medication for the induction, and I told my husband, I'm gonna be a soldier. I'm gonna wait, and I'm not gonna get an epidural, and I'm gonna wait, and I'm just gonna wait it out. And so they induced me, and a couple of hours passed by, and I'm like, oh, it's easy. This is good. And then those contractions started picking up, and I looked over, my husband and my best friend were in the room, and I looked over at them, and they were asleep, and I was looking. So I didn't have no support at the time, and so I was me and Jesus. It was me and Jesus. And so I'm praying, and I'm like, I got this. I'm giving myself down, and I'm patting myself on the back, and I'm like, oh, I got this, yes. And then those contractions started coming every like 7 minutes at this point. And I'm like, that hurt. And so it was at one point where the contraction made me yell out loud. I was like, okay, all right. Somebody, best friend, husband, somebody call me tonight. I need some help. So I got to the point where I said, yes, let me go ahead and get this epidural because I need some help. And so you got to be humble enough to say, okay, I can't take this anymore. I can't do this on my own. I've enough pain. I've got enough feelings. I need somebody to come into this situation and help me. And y'all, I promise, as soon as that epidural hit, I promise she popped right on out like an hour later, and it was like smooth. It was like smooth sailing. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I didn't have to endure that pain any longer because I decided to ask for help.
Yes,
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with telling someone that you're in need. That does not mean that you're weak. It means that you're humble and you recognize that God can work through other people. Another thing in defining strength is recognizing the glory of God is revealed in your humility and not your heroism. The glory of God is revealed in your humility and not your heroism. And in Proverbs 31:25b, the last portion of that, it says, she laughs without fear of her future. You may ask the question, why does she laugh without fear? Why is she so willing to look at fear with a smile, with her future with a smile on her face? And I believe it's because she recognizes that just because you have gloves doesn't mean you have to put them on.
Right, amen.
She recognizes that God has given her everything that she needs, and she doesn't have to go out and fight everyone and fight everything and enter into every battle because God has already fixed those battles, and she walks in wisdom. See, when she walks in wisdom and when she faces unexpected challenges, she knows when she needs to stand still or when she needs to move. See, many of us, we're walking around in situations and we have our gloves on and we're wondering, God, why in the world do I keep going through the same thing? Every time I look up, the same thing is happening in my life, and we're boxing and we're going back and forth, and we got a good uppercut and we got a good crossover. See, y'all know I'm going to I told you I kickbox for real. Okay, y'all distracted me. Okay, so you're walking around and you're in all of these struggles and you're going through different things and you're boxing and you're fighting, and you're like, God, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Why is it every day at work? Why is it in my relationship? Why is it in my family? Why is it in my finances? Why is it all the time I'm fighting fighting and I'm fighting and I'm struggling and I'm struggling, and yet I still keep sinking. I still keep going lower and lower, but I'm fighting. I'm fighting back. I'm punching. And it reminds me of quicksand. Did you know that if you fall into quicksand and you begin to sink, the more you struggle and the more you fight, the deeper you will go into the quicksand? And if you take off your gloves and you lay still, then you will recognize that you will begin to float in the quicksand. So all I'm trying to tell you this morning is whatever struggle, whatever fight you may find yourself in, if it is a constant battle and a constant struggle, maybe God is just trying to tell you, take the gloves off, lay still, lay before me, give it to me, and just go through the situation. Because I have all the power, I have all you need, I've already gone into that situation and fixed it. You just have to wait on the manifestation of my power to come through. It's just like when Moses was with the people of God and they were in the midst of the battle. Moses told the people in the midst of the battle, you will not have to fight. I don't know who this is for, whatever it is that you're facing. I tell you the words that Moses told the people of Israel, you will not have to fight. Moses told the people, stand still, and the enemies that you see today, you will never see again. And so as they stand still, they begin to see the victory of the Lord, and the glory of the Lord begin to enter into that battle because they were willing to release and throw in their gloves and allow God to fight on their behalf. What battle are you fighting? And you're sinking because you will not stand still and see the glory of the Lord.
Yes.
God wants us to know that it's okay to be strong. It's okay to even fight sometimes. But we have to make sure that we are seeking the will, the purpose, and the wisdom of God in order to know what fights we need to get in and what fights we need to take those gloves off. I don't know about you, but I've gone through enough situations in my life and I don't want to sink anymore. I've been through enough scenarios, enough circumstances, enough issues in my life that I don't want to do it anymore. God says, recognize that His glory is revealed when you humble yourself and you recognize that He is not looking for a hero. I'll close with this story, just a personal story for myself. And Minister Ryan, you can come. Several years ago, when I was going through my divorce, everything in me wanted to fight. And I wanted to fight ugly. I wanted to fight ugly. I wanted to take everything. I wanted to make sure that he felt the pain that I was feeling. I wanted him to experience the lonely nights and the tears that I cried. And the more I fought, the more pain I felt. And it wasn't until that I said, God, I stretch my hands to thee. And I give this situation over to you. And I tell you all, and so many of you know this part of my testimony already, but I tell you all, even in the midst of losing everything, when I say everything, I mean everything. The moment I stopped fighting is when I got peace. The moment I stopped fighting is when I got peace. And I don't know who needs to hear that this morning. You don't have to fight in this battle. You can stand still. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means that you're humble enough to know that God is fighting the battle. Like the Proverbs 31 woman, you can look at your future without fear, and you can trust that God has great things in store for you. Every head bowed and every eye closed. Hallelujah. Thank God for this. Father, we just come to you this morning, just thanking you for just who you are. God, we thank you for helping us to see the true strength of a woman. God, that we recognize that we can admit when we're weak, that we can recognize and ask for help when we need it. And God, thank you that you're not looking for us to be heroes, but you're just looking for us to be humble. God, I ask for every woman, every man, whatever battle we're facing today or whatever battles we may face in the future, that we would lay everything at your feet and that we would trust you, God to work it out for our good. With every head bowed and every eye closed, there may be somebody here this morning. You're going through a battle, or you've experienced a battle, and maybe you've been fighting on your own, and you're wanting God you're wanting to give it over to God. You're wanting to trust God and give it to Him, knowing and trusting, believing that He's going to fix it. If that's you this morning, you don't have to come up, you don't have to say anything, but we just want you to raise your hand, because I want to pray with you. I see those hands. I see those hands. I see those hands. We want to pray. I see those hands. We want to pray that you will give this battle over to the Lord, and you will take heed just like the children of Israel. And all you have to do is stand still and know that the victory has been given to you. Maybe you're here this morning, you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. You don't know if you walk out this door this morning and something happened to you. You don't know where you will spend eternity. If that's you this morning, if you want to pray the prayer of salvation, if you would just lift your hands where you are. Anyone wants to pray this prayer of salvation? I see that hand. Hallelujah. I see that hand. Then finally, maybe there's somebody here this morning, you don't have a church home. And you've been bouncing back and forth, you've been toiling, and you feel like the Lord has ordered your steps to be a part of the ship. We would love to have you as a part of our family, where you can be connected, where you can be encouraged, where you can be equipped in a place where you can be faithful. If that's you this morning and you would like to become a member of the ship, we ask that you would raise your hand where you are. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to come forward. Just raise your hand. Hallelujah. Let us pray. God, again, we just come to you. Thanking you, God, for your grace. Thanking you for your mercy. God, we ask that you forgive us for all of the battles that we have tried to fight on our own. Father, we ask that you forgive us for all of the boxing rings that we have been in, and you have wanted to call it for us, and we just kept on fighting in our own strength. God, we ask in the name of Jesus that you would cleanse us, and you would wash us, and you would rid us of anything that would make us continue to strive in a place in which we're not supposed to be. Father, I ask in the name of Jesus, God, that you would give peace, God, in the midst of the circumstance, that you would bring comfort, God, right where they are. Ask in the name of Jesus, Lord God, that you would touch everyone that raised their hand. And Father, let us pray this prayer together. Dear God, we come to you this morning. Ask that you would give us grace and give us peace. Father, we thank you for your Son. And God, we thank you for the crucifixion. We thank you that he was raised on the third day with all power in his hand. And we thank you that we have eternal life